Arlington County School Board this year. I have a daughter who is a senior at Wakefield High School. I've been active in the school system, in the Budget Advisory Committee. I've been PTA Vice President, Treasurer, Representative to the County Council of PTAs. I am a naval officer in the reserves. I recently was called to serve some time on active duty for a short period of time over at the Pentagon. So I've catch the Orange Crush, as they call it. I didn't realize that was the nickname. Living in Arlington, actually, I'm in the 48th district, so I was listening closely to Brink and Ringel, as you all were. I work and I live here in Arlington. I live in South Arlington, over off of Glebe Road. Like I said, I have a daughter who's at Wakefield. She's a senior. I've been very involved with the schools. This is an opportunity for me to speak to a demographic that's sort of different than the one I normally speak to. Most stereotypically, folks who live in high-rises tend not to have children in the school system. From this very young-looking crowd, you guys are probably too young to have kids in the school system yet. So I will take advantage of that opportunity and address you as the 80% of the folks who live in Arlington who don't have children in the school system, but have been very generous and supportive and aggressive with how we educate our children here in Arlington. And in the sake of getting more questions in, maybe we can jump right in, if that's okay, Stan?
Right.
And Stan, how are you? I mean, Stan, Martin, I'm proud of this.
Oh, I've got a question, but I'm going to ask the moderator to decide to point out the questions or questions.
Well, it's just you and
I.
I.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, well, go ahead.
Sure. Mark Mantel, Wilson School. Only play space within a mile of Central Rosslyn. Under the stewardship of the school board, it could be worth a whole lot of bucks to sell it off and develop it. I've heard multi stories. On the other hand, that would make this a child-hostile neighborhood, which would be a heck of a thing for a school board to do. Where do you stand?
Thank you, Mark. With regard to the Wilson building, it's not a difficult decision for me. I tend to be methodical in the way that I work problems out. I'm an engineer by education, and so with the properties that the school system has sold previously along the Wilson and Clarendon Boulevard corridors, we now find ourselves with Wilson Building School being the only overflow facility that we have in case of any type of problems in the school system, be it facility problems or capacity issues. I'm not in favor of selling the building. I do not believe that the one-time payoff balances against all of the negatives of not having a facility available in case of an emergency. I think that the property, I know that the property values here in Arlington continue to rise and stay steady even in a very difficult economy, and we just cannot afford to sell off our property. They're far too valuable to us. One of the other things that have been mentioned is building on top of the Wilson building. Some have advocated for teacher housing and things like that. I am reluctant, and I say that because I don't know all the details yet, but I am reluctant to do that because with potential having elementary school children in a high-rise building with adults who work or live there is uncomfortable for a parent, and I don't know if we necessarily want to advocate for that yet. I would be open to hear suggestions with the Wilson building, but my plan now is not to sell it and to find out how we can maintain the green spaces. And I know from talking to Mark, he has a big concern about the relocatables, as they're politically correctly called, that are there. Personally, I don't like trailers. Arlington, the cover charge for a condo is what, $300,000 to get into Arlington. We don't live in trailers in Arlington, and I think the trailers show a lack of planning. But my daughter did go to school in the trailer or have classes in the trailer at Jefferson Middle School, and she didn't have a problem with it, and they were fine. And so parents in North Arlington who have an overcrowding issue has expressed their desire to have their children be in relocatables as opposed to being moved to a different school. So I respect the view of that. Personally, I think it shows a poor sense of planning, but we'll deal with that in the long term when we come around again for facilities. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Paul Derby. Just to follow on Mark's comments on Wilson School, the community started 12 years ago trying to discover from Arlington Public Schools what the plan was for the temporary trailers. And the life service of a building is probably 30 or 40 years. And we just wonder if anyone's giving any thought to the fact that Arlington is always going to need a swing school space because everybody else's school is getting redecorated and we end up as the overflow school. And so there seems to be no appetite to plan for the fact that you always need an overflow school. And so if you do need an overflow school, instead of renting trailers from GE Capital for 12 and 15 and 20 and 30 years, why don't we just build a decent facility and put the kids in there and cycle them through and then use it for community center and that kind of stuff too, and plan it. The other point too is Wilson School is the only property in the Rosslyn area that doesn't have sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. It's the 18th Street is the only thing that is just blacktop against grass, and that's where the kids get off the bus and wade through the mud to get into the relocatables and have for 12 years.
Paul.
Yes.
Thank you for your question. With the Wilson School, I think that, as you mentioned, schools have a life cycle, and as do the facilities that run the school, the air conditioning system and all the things associated with it. One of the things that I would like to see us do differently with the school board is when we do our facilities renovations, to not lump together our most expensive items. If you've been paying attention or if you noticed, we did the Washington Lee School, we did the Yorktown School, and now we're getting ready to do Wakefield, all back to back to back. They're over $100 million a piece. Even in a good economy, that's bad money management. Because we're stuck now with $150 million for a new Wakefield, which services the whole county with the AP network and the immersion program. And we just came off a booming economy, and now we don't have any money to do a $150 million project. We have 22 elementary schools. If we mix them in and we don't do our most expensive items back to back to back, that allows us a little bit more flexibility when it comes time to come around again, and the economy goes up and it goes down. We can find ourselves in tough times. That instead of a $150 million project, maybe we have a $22 million project, which is putting skylights at Jefferson Middle School, which is something we still need to do. So I would like to see us be a little bit more strategic in our long-term planning with regard to our financing. And that's where it's specifically relevant to folks who don't have children in the school system, because building a new Wakefield is great, but how does that directly benefit folks who live in Rosslyn? And like you said, with the Wilson School aging, when does that come up on the list? And the advocates for the school system tend to be parents, and they're going to advocate for Thomas Jefferson Middle School right after Wakefield. So Wilson will keep getting pushed back. I don't know where it is right now on the priority list, but I would like to get us back to, I understand that, but I can't prove that. He said 0. I would like to get us to our 0 baseline and then start to go through the cycle again, where we actually take our time. One of the things that the school system did is they did all the elementary schools together, they did all the middle schools together, they did all the high schools together. I would have liked to see us knock out one of the high schools first, bang, get $100 million off the table. We only have 3 buildings, and then sprinkle them in with our middle schools and our elementary schools, which we have, over 30 of them put together. So I would like to see us be a little bit more strategic for our long-term planning, which would make us more accountable to the folks who don't have children in the school system, because then we could take a financial plan and look at Wilson and compare that to Jefferson, which, I don't know what it costs to renovate Wilson, but at least we're discussing it. Right now, we can't even breach the topic, honestly, with Wakefield and Jefferson Middle School, the last 2 before they complete the cycle. if you stray away from that, the county board is they're gonna get us. The money's just too tight. So we're gonna work on it, and my short answer is, as soon as we get those done, the Wilson building will come up again, and I can't promise anything other than that, though, Paul.